Call the February meeting of the Amherst City Council to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Sarah, you all lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And then we have roll call.
Marks,
Here.
Van Summeren is not here, Thompson.
Here.
Van Blarkum,
Here.
Elkin.
Here.
Lanham.
Here.
Manor.
Here.
All
By
right.
the way, make sure you guys speak loudly tonight, because there's no microphones picking up for them to hear either.
Thanks.
Okay. And then we have consent agenda items. The council minutes for January 3rd. Committee of the whole is January 17th, Arts, Parks and Rec, December 5th. And Joint Review Board, December 20th. If you peruse them.
I make a motion for approval of those.
I second it.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the consent items. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. And now we have a period of public comment.
Here, we're gonna do Megan first.
Okay,
So, just to introduce, this is Megan. She is our new, person at our front desk, helping people kind of with their payments and different things like that. She'll be helping with different various things throughout the office. Guess, do you guys have any questions for Megan? Hi.
hey Megan,
Welcome.
welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
This might work? No.
No.
Okay. All right.
You know what? You might want to stand over there so that
That
the
works.
folks in the audience can,
Good.
yeah.
My name is Eric Whitecheck, rural Amory resident and founder of the Jorgensen Memorial Field Project. And I know later on the agenda, it'll be discussed, the sale of that property. And it's important that I say that that property was built by community donations by this community to expand recreational opportunities in the community and as a memorial. And it would be really great should the council decide to sell that property if that revenue from the sale of that property were designated to continue to do that, expand and improve recreational opportunities in the Amory area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Fran, I think you can.
And I'm gonna ask that they stand here and try and project towards that for the recording purposes. Just because it's not picking up very well from over there.
here?
Yeah.
Try and stand more this way.
Over here?
Yes, and try and project it.
Yeah. This is where your microphone is.
Okay.
But try and project for everybody if possible.
Okay.
Uncharted territories tonight.
I'll try to do that. Okay, so I have just a few comments. My name is Fran Duncanson and I'm at 723 Hunter's Circle and I am a candidate for city council and also.
No, you can't campaign though. So,
Oh, okay,
all right.
so never mind that.
No, that's fine. That's the introduction. I'm just saying that, you know.
Why? Okay. I just have a couple of comments on agenda items. Number 4, I have the pleasure of meeting Mr. Duhope sitting next to me. And since I've been attending city council meetings the last 8 months, I've seen this item on the agenda several times and discussed several times. And I might really be missing something, but I'm kind of wondering why we would consider taking the city business for this out of town. And that certainly is, not any reflection, certainly on Mr. Duholm's knowledge, skill, or ability in his profession, but always just kind of like to see things stay local, all things being equal. On agenda item number 11 regarding the removal of fluoride. I remember this coming up in the past. I understand there's, an $18,000 price tag associated with it. The city spends money on a lot of different things, and the utility does. But I don't know that the city spends a lot of money on public health or public health things, especially, that concern maybe younger people or low-income folks. So I guess I would just like to say that I'm hoping that the city will continue to treat the water with fluoride. Also, on some financially related agenda items, the purchasing policy, fund balance investment, and debt management policies. I took a look at those. And I kind of, again, maybe I'm missing something, or I'm a little confused about how all of this fits together with the piece of Village Ordinance 86-1, para B, para 1, that cites the city council manages financial affairs, budgets, revenues, and the raising of funds. And again, I might be missing something, but I haven't seen where the council has been provided with regular budgetary reports, where the council approves bills, where the council views any bank reconciliations, or where the council sees a treasurer's report. And those are items, I believe, customarily provided to the city council for the city council's review and approval. And gosh, it kind of seems like your ordinance, charges the city council with that duty that I know the council takes very seriously. So I just wanted to mention that as well. And that's it for me.
Thanks, Fran.
Thank you, Fran.
Is anyone else?
Many of you know me, but for those who don't, I'm Tom Van Someren, one of the dentists from Dental Arts just across the street. Am I correct that the council members received an email from my colleague Johnny Johnson about fluoride information? Okay. First, I want to thank Jeff and Jeremy at the plant for their diligence in maintaining the proper fluoride content in the water. I didn't realize how much of a hassle it really is until talking with Jeremy a little bit tonight, as far as how minuscule amounts, will change things fairly quickly, that kind of thing. But they've been doing a great job of keeping the levels where they should be. I'm not here for any chemistry lessons or even to talk about the benefits of fluoride, because all that information is in the stuff that you've gotten. I just wanted to be sure that the council is aware that every member of the dental community in Amory is in absolute support of continuing the water fluoridation as it is. Talking with all the general dentists at Dental Arts, Dr. Dave Doroff, myself, Dr. Amy Ott, at River Place Dental, Dr. Ronald Lee, and Dr. Heather Marks, as well as Dr. Amanda Spitz from Smiles in Motion, which is a pediatric dentist that's down in the Dental Arts building as well. Everybody has voiced support of trying to continue this, because it's been such a successful program over the course of the last 70+ years in the country. It may seem counterintuitive that we support something that actually reduces the number of cavities that may be coming through our doors. But as healthcare professionals, we are all dedicated to doing what we can to improve the quality of life in our community. There will always be people who don't have the means or access to adequate dental care, whether it's students at Lean Elementary to residents in one of the long-term care facilities in our city. And we strongly believe that if we discontinue the water fluoridation, that it's gonna have a negative impact on the people that are in those somewhat underserved populations. Continuing the current fluoridation reduces the likelihood that those populations are gonna suffer untreated decay and toothaches, and we stand behind it and hope that you'll see to continue the program as it's going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Go ahead.
Good evening, my name is Debbie Elmer, and I'm just here tonight to encourage us all to continue a conversation regarding number 3. And that is about expenses with promotions for the city of Amory. Before pandemic happened, we had a plan to do a program called Design Amory, where we would have a community discussion to brainstorm who we are as a community. We've been in the past, where we're headed in the future, and outline some of our assets as far as recreation and what sets us apart from other small towns in the region. And I think if we were to articulate what our unique story is as a small town, it'd have a really big impact on our economy. If we can tell the people here, or if we can collectively come together and be proud of who we are, and then we promote that, and that will help bring people to our community if we can tell that unique story. So my hope is that we take a step back before spending any money and come together and find a creative way, not another survey, but maybe look at the surveys that we have done and find a creative way, maybe in line with the UW Design Amory system, where we can collect those ideas, really have a plan before we move ahead with these expenses. Because if we do it intentionally, we can grow intentionally, and that's gonna have a big impact on well-being and vitality in our community. And I've sent a much longer email to all of council, but I just wanted to say something here in public comment. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll close that part of the agenda. Tracy Hendrickson. Are you here?
She's not.
She's not. All right. We discussed this as committee as a whole. Basically, the school is, has been providing camera services at a lot of the various city events. Besides the school events, they do the Fall Festival Parade, several other things. Anything basically that's done in Amory has been and put on the cable network has come from the school, and they would like some help sharing expenses with that. The committee as a whole felt it was a valuable service and that it would be worthwhile doing that. And we did not agree on any specified amount other than the 40% of their costs, which is approximately what they spend, what their expenditures are doing stuff that city stuff. And that was voted to send that to this committee. And so
I'm gonna make a slight correction, I think. I think it was 40% of the cable usage fee rather than 40% of their costs.
yes,
Okay. So that's a somewhat flexible number from what I remember.
mhm.
So it would be 40% of whatever revenue is received from the cable sharing usage, okay?
And then Patty, didn't you say it was around, estimated amount was around 12,000?
Correct. That's average.
Yeah, we don't get a exact figure from the phone company. There's a surcharge on your telephone bill for local access. And that somehow gets sent back to the city, but we don't have a real good handle on how or when or why. I mean, we know why and we know about how, but
Not sure of the measurement.
yeah, as far as the measurement, we don't have that information. It is part of the state law as far as I understand, so our 40%, $4,000 roughly, roughly, somewhere in that 3 to 5 anyway.
Mhm.
Okay,
We discussed at our last meeting that city officials have looked into trying to figure out how that number is calculated. Is that correct?
Well, there's no actual way to figure it just based on the usage, so,
Okay,
I mean, we have to just go by
what they send us.
what's your pleasure?
I would move to approve this recommendation for 40% of our cable usage fee be allocated towards the request from Tracy.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item number 3, marketing promotional services.
I can start on this. This morning it was brought to our attention that the Amory Community Club is trying to do the right thing and go out for bid for their piece of this puzzle. And I have absolutely zero doubts that April can do this job super well. However, I personally am not prepared to vote on it until we know that we're on the same page as the community club. So my personal feelings tonight are that we pause and move to next month after the community club has gone out for bid and we can be on the same page as them.
I agree. I think there's too much at stake to move rapidly in this, and it's not a position that we're looking to fill because it's vacant. It's a new position. And I think we need to take a harder look at it.
I think it'll be great for our community. I have no doubts that April can do the job well. It's just in her proposal, she talks about this role bringing all of the different pieces of the puzzle together. And so because of that, I want to make sure that from the onset, we're all on the same page.
Yes.
Is that a
then
mo-
are we?
And so,
is that a motion to table to the next meeting?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
I would second.
okay, there's a motion to table item number 3 to the March or to the committee as a whole.
Or the next council meeting, which one?
Next council, I think.
Next
Committee
council.
of whole.
It's 2 weeks.
Pick one.
I think committee of the whole first. Yeah.
Okay. Motion's made and seconded to move to table item 3 to the committee as a whole for further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Number 4, South Industrial Park Realtor contract. Patty, you're up.
Eric? Let him present.
My name's Eric Duholm. I'm a commercial real estate agent, from Luck, Wisconsin, still live in Luck, Wisconsin, been there most of my life. And I was approached about potentially being involved in, helping with the selling of the industrial park. I sent out, a list of what our standard marketing would be, along with a pretty standard listing agreement. And I would just ask if there were any questions of me.
I don't have any. I read your proposal.
Is 10% kind of a standard in the commercial world of real estate?
For land, yeah, it wouldn't be if it was like a structure on it or something like that. That'd be closer to 6.
Okay,
But yeah, 10 would be pretty standard for land.
Okay,
well, and in addressing Fran's concern of keeping things local to Amory here, I think we've done that with the previous contract that we had. To no avail. I don't think there was any proposed sales at all. Not anything against the people we were working with, only that is not their specialty. And I think that's where we end up going to a commercial real estate broker
Well,
rather than residential.
I wouldn't want anyone to be under the impression because someone who specializes in commercial real estate comes in to give it a refresh. Means there'll be people knocking down the door tomorrow because
There won't be?
this is a very long process.
Yep.
Land always is,
Mhm.
just as long as everyone understands that.
Thanks. It's worth noting that, that the local realtors still have other properties. This deals specifically with the new industrial park. And so, that was talked about, discussed at length, and we went out for proposals. And this is the proposal that committee as a whole accepted, was yours. And, it's not an indictment of anybody's past or previous efforts. What it is a hopefully have a little different exposure that we haven't had for in the past, and so sick 'em.
All right,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, motion to accept.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
The motion's been made and seconded to, and forgive me, because I don't have your firm name. Eric.
It's terrace.
The terrace.
Just Eric Duholm, okay.
Harris Group.
Pardon?
Harris Group.
Terrace Group. That's what I was looking for. To accept the Terrace Group as the realtor for the South Industrial Park. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Discussion about extension of Street or Center Street and sewer extension. So we talked at length about this also. We have a developer that owns the lots on West Center Street. Center Street.
Center, yeah.
And, he's proposing to get started on that as soon as possible in the spring. And we, several years ago, extended sewer, not water. Water was over there, but we extended sewer to that side of the street to serve the buyer that bought it at that time. However, now we need to go a little bit further, and the discussion is brought up by the need to extend Center Street to its intersection of Lake Street. So there's a cul-de-sac behind the memory care unit. And the cul-de-sac would basically go away, and we would end up extending the street and the water and sewer that further to service those lots. So that's where we're
I guess
at.
I'd like to say that this is just discussion, and Robin is here.
Mhm.
And Dave Rasmussen sat in on the meeting as well, and Jeff is aware of it too, so he's just gonna give you a little bit of what he's
I'm
thinking.
Robin Hafner. I run Hafner Construction. Our plan is there's enough road there right now to be able to do a single family at one of the twin homes, possibly the second twin home. And then we run out of sewer and out of road. When we first started we talked about running driveways to feed those last 3 lots. But the sewer is gonna have to run up, and actually the sewer runs now on the land property, not city-owned property. So they'll talk with Jeff, when we extend it, we'll jump into the road right away and then run it up. So I guess my question or my idea is find out which direction you guys wanna go. If we're gonna just do water and sewer, or the water's already there, just do the sewer and run that up, or if we're gonna plan on run the road through the rest of the way. I guess that's kind of what we're trying to find out.
Mhm.
I know how to plan for this, but my plan is, as soon as I get financing for my personal, but we plan on putting up a twin home right away this spring and possibly a single family. And then we can, so it's, I'm not in a hurry to find out
Mhm.
what we're doing with the road. So I gotta find the finances to get it through there, so.
Mhm.
Do you have any questions for me?
You're still planning on doing those 2 units, the
This
three
spring.
housing units,
Yeah,
right?
This spring. right away.
Regardless, that's gonna
Yeah,
go,
'cause the water sewer and the road is there for it.
right?
The second twin home, it catches part of the cul-de-sac, but it extends farther past it, so I'd have to either do some type of an easement, or you guys would have to give me some type of an easement, or extend the road somehow to, for a driveway or the roadway.
Mhm.
And we did look at, they could maybe run up to Lake Street
Yes.
instead of going down the center.
Yeah, I'm
On
sorry.
the last lot, if we don't put a
Drive
road
out.
in, I can get an easement to run that out to Lake Street. So we're not putting a lot of that traffic from those additional houses, homes onto Lake Street. They'd still come onto Center, just the last one would go out there, because it'd be honest, it's cheaper
Closer.
for me.
It's closer, yeah. Well, I know at the plan commission meeting, we did talk about, that it made a lot of sense for the city to extend, simply because you don't have dead ends for the plow trucks, and you don't have places that are a bottleneck for fire equipment and things like that. Those are all very real considerations.
I agree.
So I think we would like to plan that direction. I don't know that we can give it a firm commitment that we will, but I think it makes the most sense.
We'll talk more about it and
Sounds good.
Jeff, figure what we're gonna do. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we need to make the commit, at
I do
least
too.
decide, but to make the commitment, whether we can get that to happen this summer or not, that's possibly not doable to get it going this summer. But I am not personally in favor of dead end streets anywhere. If we
No,
can help
and
it.
whatever we can do to encourage.
Right.
Increased housing in this little town would be great.
Right, and I think this is a good start.
I do too.
That's 3 units there, so, and possibly more. If he's waiting on the next units till he's got the first 3 sold, I would say that'll be, that should be a moot point.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, it gives me and you guys, the city, a year to kind of figure out how we're gonna do that road,
Mhm.
or
Yeah,
how we get it done, so I can get some in there, make some money to
Keep
do
going.
that.
keep going. Yeah,
Thank you.
sounds good. So, other than a comfort resolution that would say we're planning on it or we're in favor of it, I don't know that we need to have any,
Just
Nope.
putting it on your radar.
anything else to do with that. Okay, resolution 02-2024, approving a general obligation bond. You want to speak to that, Patty?
This bond was taken out in 2014, which was a golf course loan. And, it was taken out in the amount of yeah, 404-105-85. And, it was a 10-year note. And what ended up happening is, I was going to look at refinancing the loan. And I kind of waited on the bank, and then all of a sudden they said, you have minutes for the approval of the loan, and I said, I haven't even gotten it. So then it was kind of a crunch time. It came due the end of July, and what it was, it's a tax revenue bond. So the cost that we would have had to pay off was a balloon payment. It was a $160,000 payment that would have had to come due like right away, and we were already past tax season. So needless to say, I talked to the golf course, talked to the bank, and I am securing a 3-year commitment for us to have twice yearly payments so we can get that paid off. And it's a difference of 1% interest from what it was 10 years ago.
And the golf course is still making their
Golf
payments.
course is paying.
Yeah.
Yep. But I wanted it to not be such a drastic,
Right.
to me, that seemed like a lot, for us to have to come up with.
Yeah, we don't want
So I just started to do it, and it just it didn't go as quickly as I wanted it to, so it kind of happened all at once, so. This is why we're here, so.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve resolution 02-2024.
I make a motion to approve the resolution 02-2024.
I second it.
And then what we'll do is we'll turn in all the paperwork and the attorneys will draft all the paperwork from there and then we'll sign off on it, I think next week.
Okay.
When you have copies of that, can I have a copy of it to get to the golf course board?
Of course.
Thank you.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay,
And just for clarification's sake, it's in the value of, $100,661.89. That hadn't been mentioned. I had it with
Yeah, that's for
Yeah.
that.
minutes.
right, you heard the motion and the second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? So ordered. Number 7, ordinance 02-2024. That should be, is that not a different, oh, that's ordinance, okay. Not resolution. This is an ordinance. Amendment to allow for the WWTP buffer zone.
And this is the one that we talked forever about, and that was
Yep.
the ordinance for the approval of the buffer zone, the 500-foot buffer zone, for us to be able to finish doing what we need to do for the sewer plant or wastewater. Yeah.
And I
The
might,
requirement for the DNR, we have to do this.
and I might add that 500-foot buffer zone has been in place since at least 1972. So this is just an affirmation of that. This is not new legislation or anything like that. It is, just brings current the, buffer zone that's been in place since the sewer plant was moved down there. As far as I,
Completely accurate.
pardon?
That's not completely accurate.
It's accurate to 1972
Why do you have to make a new ordinance?
because we were asked to.
Then it would be part of my title and deed, and it's not, so it's
That's-
filed incorrectly, which means.
Then that's with that onus is on the property owners, not on the,
No, it's not.
because we have documentation that signs off from the 3 property owners back in the 70s when there were only 3. And then
Acknowledgement of a nuisance.
reaffirmed in that,
Acknowledgement-
pardon?
The acknowledgement of the nuisance, yes.
And in 1995, they signed off on it again, the property
That's
owners.
for the nuisance, yes.
And it was supposed to
Very
be,
specific on how you say it.
it was supposed to be on your title. So if you have title insurance, I would go back to your title insurance folks, because they guard,
Already talked with the county and the state about it,
yep.
how it's certified. Again, just, you need to be careful how you say it.
And we still have those 2 letters that we reviewed at one of the last meetings.
Getting back to Jeff, you got it.
Yes, we do. Along with the signatures of the property owners at that time and the notation that it was supposed to be. And I have an idea that, you know, this is speculation on my part, but I have an idea that since, I don't know when, abstracts are no longer in vogue. At least I've not gotten any on the properties I bought in the last few years. I think that fell through the cracks on your deed because it's, the language is very plain that that was a deed it had to be noted on the deed for any future sales. So if it's not on your deed, I would say you have a clear channel back to your mortgage or to your title insurance folks.
I know my business, I'm just trying to make sure that when you say that you say the correct thing, so. There's a difference between the 500-foot buffer and the nuisance. That's the difference. The nuisance was never involved with the 500-foot buffer. That's why you have to pass the nuisance.
They're never, as far as I know, they're, you know, I don't know how you could legislate a nuisance. But this agreement was made in 1979. Between Donatel, Sondriel, Espgard are the owners of all lots in the plat known as the Donatel addition to the city of Amory. And you're welcome to look at this. It's pretty extensive, signed by the folks that owned the property at that time. And item 4 says this agreement shall be recorded with the Register of Deeds for Polk County, and in addition thereto, a copy of said agreement shall be attached to all building permits for construction of any improvements on land situated in the Donatel addition to the city of Amory, Polk County. Signed by all the appropriate folks. So, and that's 29 November 1979.
We're talking about it today.
Pardon?
And why are we talking about it today?
Because you brought it up, not me.
If it was in effect, then we wouldn't be talking about it now. There's something new that we didn't agree to before. Again, I'm not, you're going forward with it, that's obvious, but when you're talking about it, you need to be accurate.
Point taken. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 02-2024.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve ordinance 202-2024, chapter 450, amendment to allow for WWTP buffer zone of 500 feet. Is there any further discussion? Call the question by roll call, please.
Marks,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Elkin,
Yes.
Flannel,
Yes.
Manner,
Yes.
Motion passes with all its approval. Number 9, sale of Jorgensen Field to the Amory School District.
Eight.
Pardon? 8, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Ordinance 03-2024, chapter 86, section 10, to amend council salaries. It's been a number of years since there's been any movement on council salaries. None of the vote, when you vote on salaries for city officials, that cannot take place, or they can't be awarded until a election time has passed. So if someone was elected last spring and they have a 4-year term, they wouldn't be eligible for any increase in their particular district until re-election time.
So essentially, you've got the 4 that are up for it.
So this isn't necessarily for this council, it would be for the next one. And as long as 3 years, right? From this spring, so. Is there any other discussion?
Well, I think it's time that, I don't think people realize how many hours are put in by the mayor and by the council every month. The times that we sit up here are minimal compared to the hours that are spent in committee and all the other duties that we have. So it'd be nice for the next mayor and council persons to be able to get close to minimum wage. So I would make a motion that we move forward with this increase.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Motion's made and seconded to approve ordinance 03-2024, chapter 86, section 10, to amend the council salaries. That has been budgeted, so it doesn't take a budget amendment, and it doesn't take effect until, for some of the folks, it doesn't take effect till the second quarter of 2024. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Now to Jorgensen Field. This is the final official document to selling the field to the school district of Amory. Took a while because there was some issues with the street that actually was plotted as being crooked. And then it was corrected to where it was straight, but it was never filed, so we never had it needed a hearing and signed off by all the neighbor properties there to actually, the street always was straight. But the documents that showed the street showed it curving, so that had to be corrected first. And the school had to have a public meeting, in which they had last month, or was it this? Yeah, last month. And so we're finally all in affirmative. And just FYI, that, as you spoke to that, Eric, that's been the council thought. We didn't make a specific ordinance, but that's where the money is going, to Parks and Rec. So thank you for your thought and consideration of that. And we're all on the same page, so. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion that we make that sale.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the sale of Jorgensen Field to the Amory School District.
We know the amount.
The amount was $96,000 even.
Yeah.
Okay. And we did have some costs as for, for getting the street straightened out. So the actual realization will be something less than that, but it still got taken care of. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Very good.
Just if I could, along with this, this is a process. And I want to thank Connie and Eric, because this is near and dear to a lot of people's heart. And thank you to Dr. Dorfler for doing the legwork to make this work. I mean, you needed to bring a lot of people together, and it was very amicably resolved. And I think that this is going to make the campus for the school district to be, when you're done, it's going to be unbelievable. So.
Good.
I just like to publicly thank Connie and Eric for
Yep.
making that, because it doesn't happen without.
Yep, I agree.
Because they're the shortstop and second baseman. They are.
All right. Thank you.
You bet, thanks. Item number 10, MSA TID 10 creation agreement. You're up, David.
Yeah.
Short time, David Short Timer.
37 more.
Pardon? 7 more days?
Hours.
Who's counting it?
Yeah, this agreement, we looked at this several years ago when there was potential development at the end of Sundance. And we put that on hold until we actually had a developers agreement in place. This morning, we just sent over to, I sent over to the city a draft of the developers agreement that has been forwarded to the city attorney. So it is now time to start the creation process for TID number 10, which again will be some of the school property, the property right at the end of Sundance. It will also include the mobile home park, some parcels in the industrial park, because we have to be contiguous. It'll include the dog park, and then also reach down to the southern end of Alpha River Sanctuary. There's some undeveloped land there. So that's basically the boundaries of the TIF district. And then we're looking at, probably looking in April of getting the district actually approved by the city council.
And you have to have a meeting of the political.
The process is to develop the project plan, and then have a public hearing, on the, project plan. then it goes to city council, and then the joint review board meets a second time to actually get the approval. The joint review board being made up of the representative from the city, school district, vocational or technical college, county, and then a citizen member.
Okay. And so tonight we just need to approve the creation amendment
That's correct.
agreement.
I make a motion to approve MSA TID number 10 creation agreement.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the MSA TID 10 creation agreement. And that lays out the costs, and you know offhand what those are.
17,000.
17,000, and then
And-
estimated fee for the work is 3.
Okay,
So 20,000 total.
okay, motion's made and seconded to approve. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So ordered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Number 11, possible removal of fluoride.
You want to say anything, or we did it all before? What do you want to do? Going through, kind of like what we talked when we did the
Right.
meet committee of the whole or whatever.
Yeah.
I've been in contact, our equipment is wore out. That is pretty minimal compared to some of the stuff I was talking about, like our dosage. It is very minimal. If I use an extra pound on 300,000 gallons of water, it puts me over where they recommend the limit for infants. They have dropped, I was talking to Tom a little bit before, that was at 0.75 to a 1, now they're down to a 0.65, 0.75. This stuff is corrosive. It'll etch the concrete, it'll eat on the concrete, your glass in your building, it'll completely discolor it and make it a mess. In the 4 years I've been there, the pumps, I've seen it eat 2 quarter-inch stainless shafts when it gets, they'll eat them right off. It's at a 150-pound barrel, that's what they send. That is only 20% fluoride. So you got 30 pounds of fluoride to 120 pounds of your list of, I don't know what. I did a test because I originally brought it, this all started talking with, when I go to meetings and classes with other people, and a lot of municipalities are getting away from it because it is so hard. Our water don't go from the well to the tower, and that's pretty much every town. It just goes into your system. So when that goes in, our chlorine and stuff will fluctuate some, you'll get a notice on it, usually it's low. But that, it just goes into a system, if it ain't moving, whoever's using more or not, it's not consistent. We check different spots through town, and nothing is 100% consistent. Sometimes we get more fluctuating than other times, but it just depends on where, and that's hard. Our suppliers, I call a guy, I don't know how long you were with Univar.
The whole time.
I mean, as long as it's been, well, that went like everything else. Now they got a company in the cities. Well, I talked to a guy in Ohio. He orders it. There's only a couple companies that can actually deliver it on a company truck. And the only one I know of is out of the cities too. And so you get it on a different truck. Well, I was getting barrels that would have like a safety tape over it. It was a blue tape that says do not tamper proof if, you know. Well, now they start coming with nothing. I said, I'm not gonna be the guy putting that in somebody's water.
Jeremy, I'm sorry, yeah, they started coming with what?
Nothing on the barrel. They used to
Oh,
have
okay.
tape over it. You
Sure.
could go to the parts store and actually get an oil container, and when you open it up, it breaks the ring, so you can tell. This had nothing telling me that nobody had messed with it. And then the last batch I got that went back that we ended up getting a refund on, it had nothing on there and the barrel was only partially filled.
And if you look, there's a lot of people that go for it and there's a lot of people against it.
Yeah.
Every other community around here, in our full county except for Frederick.
Osceola
Osceola.
is one that does
Okay.
some too. And I had mentioned this to some of the other municipalities when we got together. And they all wish they could because of the way trying to deal it and balance everything off. The risk for the reward that they felt seemed more risk than, I mean, obviously I'm not a dentist and we all appreciate what they do, but they can specifically put it on where it needs to be, not ingesting it or whatever. And
it
you
is
got
hard
more
on the
control
person.
as opposed to when we put it in, it's but if you read their dosage and what they actually calculated dosages, natural fluoridation is part of the water table too, and we have some, but I can't dose what they recommend or I'd be off the charts. And then our lab we've been really consistent with what we test to what the state lab of hygiene tests. And now all of a sudden in the last couple months, they're not jiving. And so I actually take some samples and go to another municipality that was doing it, because I knew some people there, test them. They get a number, I get a number, and the state gets a number. We're not consistent. And it's not a big difference by any means. I think the last time it was, so the 6.5, we had a 0.71. The other municipality, I believe, had a 0.53, and we ended up coming in at like a 0.6. But everything is, and the other municipality, when they sent them in, they said, we've always been pretty close. If we're like a 5.3, we'd be a 5.5, and now, so we're getting inconsistencies. And with everything coming up, if we change something, now our chlorine and our fluoride's in the same building, like Tom had mentioned too. If we change something, that makes a gas. If they get together, it's not good for the guy there. And that consists of a whole nother separate room with exhaust venting and separate stuff. That would be addition to the 18, which that was just numbers I pulled, so it could be 20, but I mean, them numbers are in our water system alone. They started doing this PFAS. I'm sure a bunch of people have heard of that. PFAS testing is $500 a well. We were fortunate, we did ours. And it is gone. We had none. We were non-detectable on the PFAS as of now. But that don't mean if somebody north of us or that it can't get into our table. And some guys are doing every quarter, they got a test, some are more. At $500 per well. And the testing is getting more and more as everybody, our wastewater stuff is getting tested. Now they're gonna start doing that. It's, all our tests are getting more and more stringent, and our well water that comes out when we do send in all of it, the state sends us randoms we gotta do for a lot of different stuff. Our actual well water that comes out is pretty good. I know a guy that was in school doing some testing. He took the city water, he took some of ours and put it against 6 bottled waters. And it beat all but one of them. It was pretty good.
So if, for all in, to make it safe, to replace the pumps, to do what we need to do.
So all in
What's,
right now.
what's the hard number?
20 grand would make everything work. But to do it right, you'd have to add rooms, you'd probably be about 100. If you're gonna add different rooms on, you'd be about 100 grand, I'd say.
And am I correct in understanding that you are having a really hard time finding a supplier that actually seals the containers so we know what's in
Well,
what we're
and that's
receiving?
what I've been trying to do, is try and find it. Well, then I find that price now. that guy's a bigger one, and anybody, they say, is probably gonna about double for the fluoride.
How frequently? do
And
you have
coming
purchase?
from, it depends, because now that gets into a whole nother, we're only supposed to have on hand a set amount, so now we used to get from that other outfit, we'd get the 10 barrels or whatever it was, now it's like, they just come, we got the barrels left over, they're all piled up, we got rid of them now, I've been trying to get them to come and actually pick them up and that, well, that turns into a whole nother mess, because they don't wanna put something on to seal it, but they want me to rinse it 3 times, and they want me to take the label off it before they bring it back, which to me was a red flag. Like, okay, if you don't want the label on it,
Yeah, what else does it get used for?
I'd wanna know it was my barrel if I was taking it back, I don't know.
So Jeremy, if you had, are you saying that your difference in fluoridation levels are due to the equipment that's going bad?
Well,
or-
some of it'll be the equipment, but most of it is, we don't go specific. It's just into the system.
Trying to get
So
any,
Is that,
if somebody's using,
is that cause the system is old or?
all municipalities are fighting with it, because in a perfect world, you'd have it come from the well,
Flow
go
rate
to a
changes.
tower,
Mhm.
it'd be in the tower, it'd mix.
Mhm.
And we've talked to the DNR gal, had mentioned that we maybe wanna put mixers in the water tower. It might help balance some of the chlorine where we get, but say, all right, the wells run and everything goes to SMC or Cardinal when they're filling their cooling towers and everything. Well, nothing's coming, it's all coming back that way. It's
See,
not,
what it's saying is the line doesn't go right to the tower. When it's going to the tower, we got all these laterals coming off it before it gets there too.
Mhm.
So you're not getting a consistent mix.
it's hard to get that. And I did a test, just being me because of the water stuff. I always gotta try and rationalize with myself. Some days that can be hard. I filled up 2 foam cups. It's been over 3 weeks. I tested them. And then I test them twice each week. That fluoride level has not changed. The water level went down. I'm sure that's evaporating, but my fluoride limits did not change. They actually fluoride bumped just a tick up.
But so we're well within the permitted amount though, as far as.
We're in
yes.
the levels, but it don't go away.
It doesn't.
So if it sits in the water on the counter for 3 weeks, when it comes down, goes through the plant, we're maybe in there on a long day, probably 4 days. Between what we got for volume to hold and that. So then, is it going right through? I'm just trying to think of. Cause it's. You
It's
know,
just a question if you wanna spend,
yeah,
it's a good time. The sewer rates are going up, like I said. It's maybe a good time to cut it out.
and all our other testing,
Yeah, everything's getting higher.
it's gonna keep going up and all.
The hazard. And that's our end of it. You heard the dentist, so
And this,
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten a lot more, obviously, we've gotten a lot better at it, there's a few people that don't, but we can't always control either what. I mean,
This,
Dr. Tom would probably tell you, I'm a prime example, as much pop as I drink, I shouldn't have anything. It gets to be a struggle some days, I still don't always listen 100%, but. Still, that's my bad, that ain't nobody else that's gotta do it for me, but they can control.
And one
They got
thing
a
I
lot
would like
better
to put
ways.
in here is, you got your water, maybe 5% of it's getting drank, the rest is yards, whatever, washing, doing whatever. But no, go to a fountain, they have filters, so it's taking it out. Go to your refrigerator, they have filters. Everything's filtered now anyway. So it's just another thing to think about.
And the county had said, I had asked, cause you guys had asked about tablets. That's another thing. I asked the chemical guy, I says, hey, I was wondering about tablets for fluoride. He says, you mean the stuff you put in a drinking water just for individual? I said, no, I says, we had heard that it was for a municipality. He goes, we do not, nothing that I know of has a tablet. He said, we have granular. But then the granular, he said you're going backwards. And he said if they think it's cheaper or not, it ain't, cause you get more labor in, you gotta mix your special. You gotta put it in a certain tank, mix it, blend it, and then put it in. He said, but the county, when we were talking with our water stuff before, they have programs and they have tablets up there where individuals can come up and you can get tablets, they told us. My DNR lady, when I talked to her, so there's the two, I asked her just random off. I asked her how many municipalities she deals with. She deals with like 45. I says, how many put nothing in their water? She said, if I had to take a guess right now, 10 to 12. Nothing. I know Somerset don't, Clear Lake don't. And I said, okay, so how many add like a chlorine or that's it? She said, if I had to guess, between 25 to 28. So that leaves like 7 that add extra. She said to the north, the east, and the south of us, because of the land, the geographic, she goes, some of them gotta do stuff for iron or manganese or, you know, different stuff besides that. And she said, but a lot of people are going just because it's so hard, specific control. And it's so corrosive that's why, so.
Well, I feel like this is a decision that shouldn't be made because it's caught, we have to replace pumps.
That, I wouldn't say it's,
I think it's something that we have to decide, is it important that we do it? So.
and you guys got a pile of literature that you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you did.
It's.
You guys do a great job.
Thanks,
I
Jerry.
don't want your job. But if it's 18,000 to fix the pumps, I don't think that's a reason not to keep it.
No, but I would be a very strong advocate that if we're going to keep it, we need to make sure it's safe for those that are administering it.
And drinking it.
Right. We need to make sure that everyone is safe.
So that means we're doing it, the mixing the stuff in a separate building, is that what Jeremy just said? To be
Well-
completely safe, they cannot be in the same
Well,
building.
they shouldn't be.
They need to be divided, like the chlorine and the fluoride need to be divided for sure.
At least one of the myriad of letters that we got and emails, someone from the state of Wisconsin talked about, grant monies being available for the measuring equipment and so on and so forth. Which I think, I don't, how long have those metering devices been in service?
Pumps, some of them are only a couple years old, the pumps that are there that are. already-
But we haven't changed the concept of how it gets into the water
No.
in a long time.
And it's, to today, it's pretty much the same. Put in there. Yeah, there's not a lot of change to it and the stuff. So when my chemical guy came, he said, I don't remember which town it was, but where you inject it into the pipe, they had a span. And he said they come in and the pipe just sagged. Because when it comes in, it's so corrosive. on
Higher
everything.
concentration.
And it was a larger municipality, it was one in Minnesota. But yeah, he's like, when it comes, it's so strong coming in and then it. For us to just say, yes, I can guarantee that everything's consistent through town on it.
It's not
That's the
possible.
hard, and I don't wanna be the guy that something happens, I'd rather leave that to the professionals that went to school for that job.
Well, for as long as I can remember, fluoride was always a silver bullet. And we felt cheated because I grew up in the country and we didn't have the fluoride option. But with all of the information that we've received over this last couple of weeks, there's a negative aspect to fluoridation or whatever the heck they called it, but and I think that needs to weigh on it as well. There's a major lawsuit going on. They talked about some of the major municipalities, they cited New York specifically, and cities as large as their Albany that have elected to not fluoride their water anymore. So I think it might behoove us to study this a little bit more before we make a final decision on this.
I would agree. I know I've received probably 30 to 40 emails in the last 4 days.
And I got a phone call later this
Right.
afternoon.
Right, and I have not had time to read the countless letters and articles that I have been sent. And we can only make the decision that is best with the information we have. So having some time to review it, I think would be very helpful.
Well, and with that said as well, I guess I would like to know what is required of the facility that we have right now. Should we continue? What do we need to do to keep it safe? Separating the chlorine and the fluoride, what actually has to happen?
And it's
Because
okay.
that's a.
And I think it would be
bigger
okay if it was like a multi-phase
Mhm.
approach, you know, you need to replace the pumps, you need to separate things out. If that's what happens, then how do we do that without incurring all the costs up front? But again, I don't feel like we need to make this decision based on the cost of the pumps and stuff. We should make
Pumps that's a minor problem.
Right.
Yes.
That's just me.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you bring it up because it's also a consideration because it's material that is dangerous for the people who have to handle it. It's dangerous if it gets mixed with other chemicals, especially chlorine. So we need to be conscious of all those things too.
He'll give you all we do, give you the info.
That's right. Thank you. So at this point, I don't feel that we have the information necessary for us to make any decision at all.
So we can entertain a motion to table this to.
I'd make that motion to
All right.
table for at least a month.
Second?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to table this for further study. For at least 30 days, bring it back in, council in March. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good. Fire department, you're on.
Talk about airboat motors.
Yeah.
This is actually the second motor that's actually been put in the airboat. I do have an email that was given to us by one of the mechanics that actually ripped their last engine apart. If you don't mind, I'd like to read it to you or part of it. They actually had two options. One is a brand new motor and the other one is a rebuilt motor. He said option number one is a long block engine using some of the parts that the engine was in it now. The engine was utilized in the existing turbo setup for boat. My opinion, the engine you had was not suitable for the application. It had a standard LS3 block as the foundation with a marginal at this power level and usage. The engine had a 4.125-inch stroke crankshaft. This is a very poor choice for this particular engine block. Much of that stroke in the factory built block, the pistons, it pulled the pistons out of the bore an excessive amount at the bottom dead center of the crankshaft rotation. We would never use this crank in that stroke of this block. So the engine was actually, when it was built, it was not built to handle that much horsepower. And it was actually pushing the crankshaft down so much, it was actually pulling the piston down underneath the bore.
Yeah.
And it was,
So the skirt was
the
below the
camshaft was actually spun. The lifters were actually, they were actually flat. There was metal shavings in the oil. Hence, this is the second motor that they did.
Now, when you're talking about that motor that failed like that, is that the one that came with the boat?
This is the second motor that came. The first
From
one
the
was,
manufacturer.
first one was under warranty. Then we got the second one, and the second one is the one that's garbage also.
Right. How many
Same
hours
problem.
are on this motor?
This motor is probably what, 30 hours? 35 hours on the motor. total 35 hours.
Did we get any reply back from the guy in Texas?
Sally, Stan's daughter, which is now the president of the company, did send it back saying, well, let me get this straight. The first motor was under warranty, which they replaced, correct, but then she said the second warranty, or the second engine was not. And we don't know who put it in and all that kind of stuff, so she's looking into that. So that's what the reply we got back.
As far as whether this motor will be under warranty.
Right, but she says this one is not under warranty because we've had it 7 years. But it's still a garbage engine that the company that Air Ranger, correct, Air Ranger, gets their motor from is called Turnkey. Well, it turns out that from what she was saying, Air Ranger is possibly doing litigation against Turnkey because they've had problems with this engine before. No matter what, they've sold us a garbage engine twice. So we had, so this guy that's, well, Del Reed did all the maintenance on these engines. He said, gave us the options of what we could do. We felt we don't want to rebuild the engine that is in it right now, because who knows how much stress is on that block.
Right.
We're better off than the quote, I do believe, is 31,000 for a brand new engine.
$31,549.29.
And then, so it was brought up at the fire committee meeting that they recommend getting the new engine and then going after Air Ranger Turnkey to.
Try to get reimbursed.
You need to give us
Yeah.
stuff back.
Reimbursed or the whole cost of the replacement engine, I
And the
guess.
last letter that Eric Kelly, because Eric Kelly has been doing a lot of work with, and doing all the emails and stuff with Air Ranger, pretty much told them we're expecting a full reimbursement because it's twice that we've had garbage engines out of it.
Is this something that our legal counsel is working with you on?
Not yet.
That's part of the recommendation from the fire committee is that we purchase the new engine, which is a supercharged rather than turbocharged. And this comes from Gale Marine. You have got the pricing in your computer. And so the fire committee recommended purchasing this motor and referring the other motor and company to our legal department for resolution.
Chuck, what are some of the airboats that you run in Florida and so on? What kind of equipment do they run? It seems like they're always out running airboats and stuff.
Well, ours would be too if they wouldn't put a horseshit engine together.
Well, I understand that, but where are they, what kind of engines are they running and so on?
Probably the same 800 horse Corvette engines that, it's a Chevy engine that's.
Yeah, because the one that is bad was an LS3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but be careful which airboat you're talking about. This one that has the air cushion under it, not just the one they chase alligators with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, I understand that, but I'm just, just whatever information we can get to make sure that we're getting the right one this time.
Well, this Wagner that actually took the engine apart, he does, high performance race car engines, correct? So he would be the one putting the engine together, getting everything all set up, and then he would go over to, Gale Marine to just have Gale Marine put it in the boat. Cause Gale Marine they worked on the engine before and stuff, so.
And this comes with a warranty also.
Yeah.
3-year, right?
Yeah, 3 years. And it's 800 horse.
Okay.
Is
What was the other one?
800, but some of the other one that he quoted would have been less than 800. I think it was around 600. So this would be a long, compatible, what we should have, actually what we should have in the boat.
And you feel good about this vendor?
Wagner?
Yeah.
Yeah, after what, yeah, cause what he told us, or with the powder read you the rest of the email, I can actually send it to you if you wish.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, he actually said exactly what they would do, how they would set it up, how they would tune it up and everything. So, I feel confident with Wagner doing the motor because they are high performance race engines. Versus Gale Marine, and of course Wagner wasn't, they don't do marine work, so you can just have Gale Marine just put it back in the boat. So Gale Marine is in Galesville, the motor's in Portage at Wagner. So we'd have to get the engine and the boat back together again. Hence, this has been going on since June.
And what kind of time frame are you looking at with this?
They said with the new motor, it'd be about 6 weeks. We can get a new motor in.
How much do we use that airboat? Out of
We don't
curiosity.
use shit for less.
Well, I understand.
Very little. Very li-
No, I mean, it only had 70 hours on it because it was just.
Broke
Breaking
all
down.
If it was fully functioning,
If it was fully functioning, half of our fire department would get pilots on that thing. We'd be using it a lot. Of course, we'd kind of tick off a lot of the fire district when we're going up and down the lakes and everything, after it is noisy. But, no, that's my plan. When we get that boat back, we need to get at least half, 3/4 of the department pilots on that thing, because we can't just rely on a handful of people that only know how to drive it. Everybody needs to know how to drive it. And it's not something you just get on and just
No,
hit
I'm
the
sure not.
gas and steer it. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
yeah. You need some stick time, is what we call it.
Well, it's a piece of scrap iron.
Oh, the fire, yeah, so the fire department or fire commission committee, which is all the representative folks that are paying for it, all agreed, get this engine,
Yes.
get it in, get the boat back. So
Well, and hopefully on the legal side, we can get some reimbursement.
that
for
would come
the
as a
expense.
recommendation from the fire commission,
Yeah.
fire
Okay.
committee.
So are we looking for a motion on
Yeah.
this? Okay, I make a motion that we replace that engine at 31,549.29.
I second it.
Motion's made and seconded, to replace the engine at the stated cost. Yeah, so that's all we need to do. So the cost, that's not within the budget of the fire department. That'll have to come from,
General.
yeah, but it will be
Divided.
divided,
In the fire
at the
district.
percentage
Right.
of each representative from the fire district. So
Okay.
our actual cost will be, what are we paying, 33% or something like that of the 31. So our cost will be in the neighborhood of 10 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
with the hope that we can be recouped.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
We
So
didn't
then
vote.
The other boards,
Most-
all of the other boards would have to go through the same approval, correct?
They're all represented at the fire commission, so, and they all have the authority to do that,
Okay.
so,
And they've already done it.
yep. I don't know if it's gone through the Lincoln Town Board and the Alderman Town Board, but their representatives are all there and approved it, so.
Okay.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the 31,000 plus funds for replacing the engine with the new style of supercharged engine. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? So ordered.
And you're still here. Why would that be, Chuck?
Now the big one.
Oh,
This one sounds a little pretty good compared to the next.
Yeah,
one.
that's why those three back there are gonna come and, back me up on this. Which is a purchase of a ladder truck. I don't know if the general public knows, but the ladder truck that we currently have is a 1993 Pierce Arrow. When we were pricing out ladder trucks, Mr. Kevin Thomasel was here. And we specifically asked him how much our ladder truck was worth right now. He said we may be able to get 10,000 for it. We did look at, or I did look at used ladder trucks. You know, most of them are around the 2002, 2004 range for the used ones. Those are 29,000. Hence, this is 10 years older than them.
Right.
And they are selling for 29,000. We can put an average of $10,000 to $15,000 into that truck per year. Just because it served its purpose. I mean, it really did. I know there's some things that are on it right now that need to be fixed, but I'm just waiting to see if we're be able to get a new one. If not, it's like throwing Band-Aids on a deep cut. So we we did a search, we went through Rosenbauer, E1, and Pierce. We went through Pierce. They do have two options for a ladder truck. One is manufactured to order, and another one is a stock truck. Manufactured to order truck, we'd get in 4 to 5 years. A stock truck, we can get in roughly 6 to 8 months. But to get that, they would have to get a purchase agreement, secured loan saying, okay, if we approve this much, they get a list of stock trucks that are coming out every month. And if he can grab one, he can take and put everything on that truck, and he can get 95% of our manufactured to order truck on that stock truck. But there are some things on that stock truck you cannot change, like slam doors versus roll up doors and stuff like that. What am I missing, Joel?
The bottom line is $1.9 million.
$1.9 million for each, but for manufactured to order or a stock truck.
Either one would be.
About the same. If you buy one right up front and pay for it within 15 days of order, they give you $250,000 off.
Right. On a manufactured to order truck.
Yeah, the other one, the ones that you get right up front, that was cheaper, the one that,
The stock truck?
stock truck.
Yep, a little bit,
What were
yeah.
they, what, 1.7 million?
No, he said that was $1.9 million.
$1.9 million.
But with the thing that he had said, Keith Karpinski, who was on the fire committee, said, if you go with the manufactured to order truck, you're gonna be paying interest for the 3 years before you even see the truck. So the interest that you're paying, how much is that gonna be taken off of that 250,000? So you gotta look and see
Sure.
what you're gaining. So he goes, the interest rate is real big.
The other two manufacturers did come in at the same price. So, I mean,
And the stock truck, would that be something you're okay with?
Oh, absolutely. Yep, like I said, 95% of the manufactured order truck, and it's just little things that, like I said, the roll-up doors versus slam doors, they can't change that. Maybe the design of the dash in the truck, but the truck itself is 95% of what we had. Yeah.
So if you do the made to order and it's 4 to 5 years, you're still gonna be putting Band-Aids that cost money on the current ladder truck, correct?
And then Sharon came through yesterday and I explained to her, and the other thing about the Pierce versus Rosenbauer E1 is the length of the truck. It's 6 feet shorter. And it's still
Pierce's?
Yep, it's 6 feet shorter than the truck we have now. You take the bucket off the front and you actually put it on level with the back. it's 42 feet, 43 feet
Plus you can
versus
see better.
49, 50 feet.
Plus you explained that you can turn around with a cul-de-sac and you didn't.
Oh,
even
yeah.
have to.
Yeah, Joe did it. Not surprised me. I mean, he's a good driver, but he was driving, he took us down a cul-de-sac and he turned that ladder truck around in that cul-de-sac and didn't go out the blacktop.
Wow.
And another advantage, you said, thank you, Chuck, that tour was just great. I encourage anybody that,
And this truck, the Pierce that we have right now will take us 3 to 4 minutes to set up. This new one will take us 26 seconds. Two levers out, put them down, automatically levels. Stops, get the auto set, oh, it does it. And it's pretty sweet. And that's factory, that's stock, it's on manufacturer or it's stock.
It won't let the operator swing the ladder into the cab, the body of the outriggers, it'll stop
Okay.
to stop that crash.
Is there anything that we could minimize on that new truck, whether it's stock or not, to bring that 1.9 down?
That's it's pretty much, so what we did, how we spec'd it out is that we are taking everything that's on our rescue truck and putting all that equipment on the ladder truck. So if we wanted to get rid of that rescue truck, we could also get rid of that rescue truck and all this truck will have all the ladder truck will have the room for all that equipment.
Two trucks in the one.
So you get rid of 2 trucks but then Rick is maybe thinking about keeping that other one as a command truck, right? Like. So, but yeah, we tried, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Just curious.
Yep,
You know,
yep,
I mean,
yep,
couple big
yep,
dollars as you're working with.
Yep. Anything else?
When we bought that truck 20 years ago, we bought it with the assumption that we were gonna be able to get 20 years out of it. It was 10 years old when we bought it. The only part I think that was underestimated, by me at least, was the amount of natural repair work that you have to do on a truck that's that expensive. That truck we have now, new, cost little over $600,000 30 years ago. The truck that replaced it at Bradenton, Florida was 900,000, just about $1 million 30 years or 20 years ago. The truck that they're looking at is a little different truck, but it has the same performance, 100-foot aerial ladder, which we decided long ago was what, was the need for the buildings and so on that we have. And the ISO confirms that. So you're looking at a truck that's, projected to last 30 years. I think, like I said, the one we bought, that we paid $370,000 for that truck. And we drove it home from Bradenton, Florida. I didn't, thankfully, but, so I think, that did what we wanted to. The first 10 days the truck was here, it made the front page of the Free Press by being instrumental in keeping the Amory Free Lutheran from burning to the ground. We had people on the roof of that would not have been there any other way. So, the debate for me boils down absolutely to the effect that, we gotta pay for it if we're gonna do that. So at the 33%, we're looking at $600,000 and everybody, again, that was at fire commission meeting is aware of that percentage of costs. So it seems to me that most likely, the decision always will be, can you afford to do it? And if you can't afford to do it, then how are you gonna pay for it? So.
One other thing too is, we just had our ISO audit. And if we would not have a ladder truck, in Amory, because we do have the high rise. High rise is what, 59.5 feet, and it's not sprinklered. We have 3-story apartments in Amory. Those were the two biggies that ISO auditors said, if you didn't have that ladder truck, your insurance rates would go through the roof. He also brought up, the SMC and high school, the schools, because you're a bigger building, we can actually get even further, on the roads and stuff.
Sure.
And so, those were the other big ones that the ISO auditor had said, yes, you really need a ladder truck in your community. And like I said, this 1993 Pierce, I mean, it's done its job, but it's done. It's just done. I mean, it's done to the point where, I'm afraid to actually take it out because I know how much money I'm gonna have to throw into it because something broke.
Or something break on the way to where you need it,
Right. Yeah.
That's a worse thought.
Like I said, there's repairs that need to be on it right now, but I mean, it's usable, it's still operational, but they need to be fixed. But I just don't wanna throw more money into it until I find out where we're going.
So that brings us to the question, how do we finance it if we're going to move forward with it?
I just looked up what we've used in the past for the fire department, that's for the commissioners. And their interest rate is, no matter if you take a 2-year or 11, 20-year, it's 6%. And they don't charge fees for the application. The process is fairly swift. Usually you get your funds within 30 to 45 days. So, and it's a smooth process. We've used them several times before
And that's through who, Patty?
it's called the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands.
You have.
We got a document.
Yep, and that's, I provided you a copy of it.
Okay.
And the nice thing about them is they always give back to the library. So, and this year for 2024, Amory will receive, and I gave that to you as well, it's just almost $110,000. So their proceeds, throughout the state, they have $65 million that they have in revenues that they give back to the libraries. So, and it's a state fund, they give library to them. Burn down and things like that, but.
What length of loan are we thinking we would pursue?
I'd like to point out, Fire Commission has not actually approved getting a truck yet.
Okay.
They just want you guys to give Patty the approval, basically to look into all of that aspect of it.
Yeah, so that's.
So we're not
clarify that.
approving anything officially, we're telling you that you can do some investigating. Okay.
It's also a really good idea to put that number out in public,
Oh, yeah.
because it's a big
Yeah, 'cause
number.
It's just, this is exploratory.
Okay, that's
And
helpful.
this is just one option.
So our costs basically would end up being about a third of $1.9 million. So you're talking pretty close to $600,000 spread over. I don't personally like to go more than 10 years because that's what we have trucks on is a 30-year rotation, which means you have 3 engines, you gotta buy one every 10 years,
Right.
And we have 2 engines in a ladder truck. Unfortunately, this is the big one. So figure out $600,000 over 10 years at 6% interest.
Where does this fall within the rotation? I mean, is it jumping ahead of something else?
No, not really, because the old engine that we just had refurbished, if you remember, what's a year ago, year and a half ago.
Last spring.
Yeah. That would have been due at the same time, but we figured by refurbishing it for 20% of the cost of a new one, that we put that off at least 10 years. So I think falls pretty well into the cycle. If that's ready in 10 years to be replaced, the newest engine will still be
Yeah, the engine would be 2013.
yeah, The newest engine is what, 2008, 13?
13.
Yeah, so that'd be 2043 before that one would have to be replaced. So I think we're, pretty close dollar wise, and to the right time. And my concern too, Chuck mentioned it, is when you have a truck and the maintenance costs have been fairly stiff on that. And I think that was one underestimation that we did when we bought it, was to not figure on quite as much. 10 years, you get by for practically nothing for maintenance. From years 10 to 20, you have a fairly, good chance of spending some money.
Right.
20 to 30, now you're starting to stretch it. Same as what you drive to work every day.
Well, I think we need to give Patty, or whatever the next step is, if everybody look into it. So that we can eventually pull the trigger on it if we need to, and it sounds like we need to sooner than later.
And I'd really like to shoot for the stock truck,
Yes.
so we're not.
Turnaround's faster. Yeah, but it shortens up your repair costs.
5 years, 4.5 years.
Well, the repair costs and the interest would be better than the money.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
When are you planning on meeting again? Fire committee, do you have a thought?
We don't have.
Friday. Friday. No, I think we'll have to take that back to the fire commission as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So you let me know, maybe we'll meet and let me know, and then we can try to get something formulated and then
Yeah.
present it and then
Yeah, 'cause
bring it
soon
back
as-
to council.
yeah, as soon as we get a fire committee together, I mean, yeah, you guys say okay, and we can do this, we can get the fire committee back together. By email, I mean. Everybody's ready, a couple weeks maybe?
So we do have
Next week,
Okay.
Will this be similar to other equipment purchases that we've done, that one of the municipalities will have to take out the financing on it? And that would fall on our shoulders, because there's no other municipality or organization that could take on this
I
versus
don't-
us.
I don't know that for sure.
I'd like to put that out there.
I'm assuming, but
I would assume.
I'd like to put that out there,
Yeah.
but
who else would do it?
we got a lot of other stuff going on that we're taking on the financing for, that, maybe it's time for somebody else to step up. Just saying.
And they borrow,
30%.
they borrow money for the same amount that
The rate would be the same.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fair.
As long as you're a municipality, I don't think, we probably wouldn't ask Blackbrook to do that necessarily, because they're the smaller, but Lincoln and Amory are,
Pretty close.
we're all in,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, it was actually ACE actually told me, he goes, I don't want to use one. I
Yeah.
don't want somebody else's garbage. He goes, but we need to look for it.
So if I'm right, Lincoln Township meets. Well, they might have met already this month. I don't know.
I don't know, top of my head, Blackbrook is usually later into the month, I think, but I don't know Lincoln's schedule.
Okay, call Ace tonight and find out, so they could put that on their schedule also. They probably will have, but we can do that.
So have a conversation.
All right.
Fire committee, and we'll come back.
Okay, and get them together next week, you say? Or you want to let me know after you talk to Ace?
Well, Ace is the chairman. We'll have to call him.
See what they're scheduled.
Yeah, get him to set the meeting up, but maybe we can call him yet tonight and see. Okay,
Good, thanks.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. You know what? We don't have anything left on the items through item 17 that we have to spend any money on. Which is a good feeling. Item 14.
Well, we sold something.
Yeah. Yeah, so well, we got a few bucks anyway. Item 14, City of Amory purchasing grant procurement policy. you saw that.
The way I understand, we had it at our last meeting, we just made the changes that we had brought up.
Correct. Yep.
Can you clarify a little bit how this falls into Fran's question during public comment? With our ordinance? Just because that question has me a little confused, so I'm wondering if you can speak to that at all.
For which one? We have 4 different policies.
Yes, so for the purchasing, because she specifically pointed out items 14 and 15 in her question. So and we're on 14, so that's why I bring
Well,
it
the
up.
purchasing grant procurement policy, that's just a policy that we would go through and make sure that we handle that appropriately for
Mhm.
like any purchases. It identifies the procedures of how we do it.
Mhm.
And then that specifies, it talks about quotes and bids and those types of things. So I think what she's asking for is to make sure that more documentation is provided to council
Mhm.
so that they can see specifically
Okay.
how we do business.
Because we have in here, we changed it so it's city administrator or clerk treasurer, correct?
Yep.
And then you would be then supplying us with that
Yep,
information.
either or. Yep.
I'm just trying to clarify to make sure we're all on the same page. Thank you.
And only, it still boils down to only the council has the authority to
Mhm.
spend the money.
Right. And a lot of this, we need to get policies in place, especially, with the audit and things that we have to do to
Yeah.
do business with the
Much
city.
of
So
this
that's
came
why-
out of audit, so.
Right, right. But the policies need to be in place. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay, so I think we need to, if you're so moved to approve them, they need to be done individually rather than as a group.
I make a motion to approve the City of Amory purchasing grant procurement policy.
Well, second.
Did you say second?
Mhm.
Okay, motion's made and seconded to approve item 14, City of Amory purchasing grant procurement policy. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Item 15. Concerns fund balances. We've all had the documentation.
I also make a motion to accept the City of Amory fund balance policy.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the City of Amory fund balance policy. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Item 16.
I make a motion to accept the City of Amory investment policy.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the investment policy for the City of Amory, item 16. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. And last but not least, City of Amory debt management policy.
And I also make an amendment to approve the City of Amory debt management policy.
I have one correction.
Oh.
On page 9, it says fund balance. And it.
The bottom of the
I'll make that
page.
correction.
Oh, okay.
It's just on the bottom of the page. It says.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll make that correction.
Motion and second on that.
We haven't had a
They
second.
have not had a second, so I wanted to clarify before we did the second.
I'll second.
Are we good? Motion's made and seconded to improve the debt management policy for the City of Amory, item 17. Anything further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Item 18.
correctors.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Closed session under Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent C, clerk treasurer position. Consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. The purpose of this is to hire a new clerk treasurer for the city of Amory. The position was advertised. The applicants were screened and interviewed in entirety, all 4 of them. And the committee that was in charge of that brought a recommendation to the council as a whole, and it was moved to bring that to the full council. And so while we're going into closed session, there will be an announcement after closed session as to the new clerk treasurer and any other pertinent information regarding that. So we'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second.
Motion's made to go into closed session. Roll call vote, please.
Marks,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Van Blarkum,
Yes.
Elkin,
Yes.
Planum,
Yes.
Manner.
Yes.
We're in closed. We are closed. Right, so back in open session. And I would take this opportunity to appoint Taylor Larson as our new clerk treasurer / zoning administrator. And
Okay,
I think it's public information. The salary for this job is $68,360. Benefits remain the same. And so I would entertain a motion for the council to approve that appointment.
I'll approve that appointment.
second.
Motion's made and
Like this quick-
seconded to approve Taylor
If
as
he had
the
shut up, I
new
would've said it.
city clerk treasurer.
I'm assuming you're-
All those in favor on a roll call vote?
Marks,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Elkin.
Yes,
Planum.
Yes.
Manner.
Yes.
Emphatically.
you're appointed. Thank you very much.
And now
Move to adjourn.
I second.
we're adjourned.